It's 10K Dre. We back at y'all with another edition of Paper Trails. This is the Sundown Town series. We're talking about California. And first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to one of the users in the comments, As a Man Thinketh 2024, who said, "Can you do something on Hemet, California? I lived there as a kid and never knew it was one until I stumbled upon it on Wikipedia under the heading Sundown Towns. Still super racist and has almost no black folks." So, I said, let's go on ahead and do it. I was going to do Portland, Oregon, but that'll be the next video. Unless, more comments pop up to, lead me up elsewhere. So let's go on ahead and get into the business. All right. So when people hear the phrase sundown town, they think of the deep south. They don't think about California, but California had them too. And some of them were among the most quietly enforced in the country. A sundown town is a place where black people were not allowed to live or even remain after dark. Not always by law, but by threat, policing, or just custom over time. Tonight, we're going to talk about some of the California towns that history left out of the brochure. So, the logic behind it all is right. One of the ways we know this system existed is through the Green Book. The Green Book, pardon me, the Green Book or is, was and is a survival guide that listed places that black travelers could safely stay. If only certain cities were safe havens, that tells you by default that everywhere else was a risk. So that's simple math. Some of these towns weren't just risky, they were built to exclude. So let's go on ahead and get into town number one, Hemet, California. Let's start with one of the clearest examples of a sundown town, Hemet. Hemet was widely described by historians as a sundown town, a place where black people could work during the day but not allowed to stay overnight. There didn't need to be a sign. The rule was enforced socially and by police pressure. Do with that with you as you will, you know what I'm saying? In 1960, Hemet's black population was near zero, not by accident, but by design. This is what a sundown town really looks like when it's working as intended. Like, taking this nigga 5 minutes to close the goddamn bottle. Number two, Glendale, California. For decades, Glendale was infamous for being hostile to black residents. It used a mix of housing covenants, meaning white only sellers and buyers, intimidation, and policing to keep the city almost entirely white well into the mid 20th century. It's one of the most commonly cited sundown towns in Southern California history. Burbank, right next door. Burbank followed a similar pattern. For years, it remained almost entirely white, using real estate restrictions and social pressure to keep black families out. It functioned as a sundown town even without posting signs. Number four, Pasadena, California. Pasadena used heavy housing covenants and aggressive policing of where black residents could live. While not always labeled outright as a sundown town, large parts of Pasadena were effectively off limits after dark. Number five, Bakersfield. Bakersfield had a long reputation of racial hostility and exclusion. Travelers and migrants moving through the Central Valley quickly learned which places were not safe to stop in. The absence of safe lodging listings told its own story. Number six, Modesto. Modesto remained overwhelmingly white for decades. Like many Central Valley towns, it relied on informal but very real enforcement to keep black families from settling there. Number seven, Visalia. Visalia followed the same pattern, almost no black residents, strong local hostility, and a reputation for being unsafe to stay overnight. Number eight, Oakdale, California. Oakdale is a smaller town, but that's part of the story. Small towns didn't need laws, they relied on everyone knowing the rules. Number nine, Riverside County, multiple towns. Large parts of Riverside County, not just Hemet, had reputations for exclusion. Entire regions functioned as no go zones for black travelers after dark. Number 10, Stockton. Even large cities like Stockton were surrounded by towns that enforced racial boundaries so tightly that movement itself became dangerous. The city might be reachable, but the roads around it were the problem. Most sundown towns didn't use signs, they used housing policy, police stops, threats, and reputation. You didn't have to be told, you were supposed to figure it out.